Trade rumors are intensifying as we get a shocking Oilers trade update. Who could be on their way out of Edmonton? Who could be on their way into Edmonton there? The goalie crease has been a hot topic for many lately, and it's only going to get hotter as the season goes on there. So we'll discuss, again, the candidates on the trade block for the Oilers and candidates on the trade block for other teams. But before we get down to business today, the Oilers have some Missouri business to take care of against the St. Louis Blues. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's 71% of you watching the content here on Oilers Digest haven't hit that button down below. So for any and all Oiler news, folks, whether it's the good or the bad or even the ugly, we have it covered for you here on Oilers Digest. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. As insiders suggest the Oilers are open to trading Stuart Skinner there. Now, I'm not suggesting the Oilers have a deal for Stuart Skinner on the table there, but if things get dire, so number 74 there again could be on his way out of Edmonton, according to TSN's Ryan Rishaug there. Here's the situation as I see it. If a deal comes up that allows Stan Bowman to make a trade tomorrow that he knows in his gut is going to be an upgrade in net, and it involves moving from Stuart Skinner, it's done, no question. I don't think that deal is going to happen. I don't think there's a deal to be had. I don't think there would be a second's hesitation to do the deal if he knew he could improve that position tomorrow. Why would he hesitate there, suggesting that Stan Bowman, he's been trying on the trade block there, but hasn't gotten the right deal, or hasn't probably gotten a deal at all with Stuart Skinner in moving on from him there. Now, from Aaron Porcelain, the Columbus Blue Jackets beat writer from a couple Blue Jackets games ago against, I do believe it was the Colorado Avalanche, their press box was jammed with scouts tonight. 3 from the Oilers, 1 was a goalie scout, which is strange considering that's the only specific part that, Porcelain had for the Oilers, and nothing from the other team there. 2 from the Vegas Golden Knights and the Utah Mammoth, and then 18 others with 1 each, though. So, a goalie scout, that sort of throws things, onto the fire there. I mean, pouring water onto a grease fire, oil pun, the deal there. But it's very interesting. The Oilers were looking at the Blue Jackets crease there, and there's one name that catches my eye here. No, it's not Elvis Merzlikins there, as that cap is a little bit too rich for my blood, and again, his stats with the Blue Jackets a little bit inconsistent for my liking there, but Jet Greaves is the name that is on that list that I'm, very, very intrigued about. I mean, 24 years old, it would be another situation. It's okay. This isn't a reclamation project for the Oilers. This isn't, they're getting somebody that's, made a name for himself in the league there, but it's very interesting to know that Jet Greaves is a Group 6 UFA. Normally, he would have the RFA rights after this season, but would become a UFA after this year. And I mean, the salary that he makes right now, for the stats that he's putting up, number 6 on the Money Puck goal saved above expected list there. So the Columbus Blue Jackets getting value from Jet Greaves there. Now, would that suggest the Blue Jackets would be open to trading for Stuart Skinner? I don't think so. You'd have to be very, very crazy, even though Stuart Skinner hasn't had, a bad season, but he hasn't had a good one too. He's been sort of in the middle, and middle is what we've been wanting from Stuart Skinner. But when you have the opportunity to potentially upgrade your goaltending, this is how you do it there. Jet Greaves will be a perfect addition to this Oiler roster there. I mean, you see the names that he's joining here on this list, Thatcher Demko, Logan Thompson, Connor Hellebuck, and Lucas Dostal. I would have loved Lucas Dostal, but he is in Anaheim for the foreseeable future there. But for Stan Bowman, not only him, trying to scour the college and European free agencies, trying to get the best bang for his buck here when it comes to trying to improve this team. Is, Ken Holland, sure, he can build a Stanley Cup winner, but he doesn't leave you, stocked for the future there. And you compare that to, Stuart Skinner and even Calvin Pickard, even if the Oilers, want to move on from Calvin Pickard, whether that be a trade or sending him down to the AHL's Bakersfield Condors like he was when he relieved Jack Campbell there a couple of seasons back there. Calvin Pickard, he's got a 2-1-1 record there, but the stats suggesting, hasn't had the strongest start to his season there. Minus 3.1 goals saved above expected there. And even though he saved the Oilers bacon 2 playoff runs in a row there, I think his time in Edmonton is coming to an end there, whether that be with Connor Ingram or another move that the Oilers will do further on down the road there, even if it's, in November, December, or even with the trade deadline there. But Stan Bowman has a lot of question marks with this goalie crease there. And not only that, but, the rest of the team. He's got an influx of defensemen in the forward group, but we will cover that in another video in another day there. I know I go on and on about the goaltending, but I would love a Jet Greaves in Stuart Skinner 1A 1B tandem there. Again, Greaves, 24 years old, hasn't spent too long in the NHL, but his stat line from this season, and even last season, tremendous. But the downside is, if you do even think about a Stuart Skinner trade, he is a free agent after this year as well. So I don't think teams would line up to try to get the first go at trying to get Stuart Skinner re-signed before July 1st there. So that's the only downside. He is a free agent after this year, but 2.6 million. I mean, if teams want to take that bait and try to trade for him, so be it. But as Ryan Rishaug said, there's probably no way that we are seeing number 74 being traded anytime soon there. But an upgrade, or not an upgrade, an update on Connor Ingram. Rishaug would go on to say that the Oilers already have a plan in place with Connor Ingram sitting in the AHL if things do go sour, but mentions that general manager Stan Bowman, he may have no choice when it comes to making change between the pipes sooner rather than later there. So Shog said, Ingram might not be ready until, December or January, but the panic button may have to be hit, again, sooner rather than later if things don't go Edmonton's way anytime soon there. With their grueling road schedule coming up, I mean, they have the St. Louis Blues tonight, who are on a 7-game losing streak there, but their next test is the Dallas Stars there, so it's not going to get any easier for this team. They're looking at Connor Ingram's first 4 games with the Bakersfield Condors. I mean, had a 9.55 against the San Jose Barracuda, but the last 3 games haven't been very ideal for Connor Ingram there, putting up an 8.28, 8.53, and then yesterday afternoon against the Calgary Wranglers there, 5 goals on 20 shots against theirs. So, he's still working his way back into that. I wouldn't say, it's, a lost cause at this point, but the guy hasn't played professional hockey consistently since last February there, so he's still working his way into this. I mean, I watched a little bit of that Condors game yesterday, and everybody besides Connor Clattenburg just looked flat there, so it wasn't all on Connor Ingram there. But that was then, and this is now as the Oilers hit the road. They are taking on the St. Louis Blues there, the gateway to the Midwest, and the Oilers start a mini 2-game road trip before having 3 days off before playing the Colorado Avalanche back at Rogers Place on Saturday the 8th there. And Kris Knoblauch hoping to see something better from the Oilers tonight for a full 60 minutes. The biggest concern for us and what we're focusing on now is playing a solid 5-on-5 game, all 200 feet around the ice. Some nights we're good in the offensive zone, others we're good in the defensive zones. We just try to, need to try to put it all together there. I mean, the one shining case on this team is the Oilers' power play, first in the NHL. The only downside is, I mean, they're middle of the pack on their PK, 15th, but I saw a stat, McDavid and Draisaitl were 2 of only 8 forwards in the NHL that have been on, for 15 penalty kill attempts there, but haven't given up a single goal yet. Now, I'm not saying play McDavid and Draisaitl on PK all season long, but that was just a very interesting stat to note, even though, in the past couple of years, you didn't really see them on the penalty kill as much there. Taking a look at the Oilers lineup tonight, Calvin Pickard does get the start for the Oilers tonight, meaning Stuart Skinner faces off against Jake Ottinger tomorrow. We've seen how that story ends out. Hopefully we can see some of that May magic from Stuart Skinner in November. But taking a look at the lineup, besides the starting goalie, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with Connor McDavid and Andrew Mangiapane. The second line that I've been loving the past few games there with Vasily Podkolzin and Leon Draisaitl in Jack Roslovic, Matt Savoy, Adam Henrique in Trent Frederick, and then Ike Howard, Noah Phillip in Curtis Lazar round out this Oiler forward core. You don't see David Chmasik in the lineup for the second straight game there, so giving Curtis Lazar a little bit of runway before the Oilers have some decisions to be made. Zach Hyman, Kasper Kapanen in Matthias Janmark on the back end. Matthias Bouchard, or Matthias Ekholm with Evan Bouchard. Too many Matthiases on this team there with Ekholm and Bouchard on that first pair. Darnell Nurse in Jake Wallman, and then Brett Kulak in Ty Emberson. And taking a look at the St. Louis Blues, like I said, 7-game losing streak there. Haven't gotten off to the hottest of starts there. I mean, you compare that with the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, 7-1 in 5 on the year there. And then the Winnipeg Jets. So a very top-heavy, central division there with the Avalanche, the Jets, the Mammoth, the Stars, in the Blackhawks, and even the Predators in the Wild, all having somewhat decent starts to the season. And there's the St. Louis Blues. And then taking a look at their lineup from the morning skate in St. Louis: Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, and Jimmy Snuggerud, Braden Shen, Pia Suter, and Jordan Kyrou, and then Dylan Holloway, everyone's public enemy in Edmonton. The last time that Holloway did play against the Oilers in Edmonton, with Dalibor Dvorsky in Oscar Sundqvist and Alexei Toropchenko, former Oiler Nick Bukestad, and Matthew Joseph there on the back end. Philip Roberg, need I say more, with Colton Parayko, Cam Fowler, and Justin Falk, and then Tucker in Kessel, with Jordan Bennington getting the start for the St. Louis Blues there. I mean, with the lineup on paper that they do have, these Blues, they don't seem like a team that's been on a 7-game losing streak there, but you can say all you want about, the team on paper. The game is played on ice, and that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think the Oilers could get for Stuart Skinner there besides a bag of pucks? I mean, the value right now, it's not very high for number 74, but who knows? Again, I'd rather ship out Calvin Pickard or even send down Calvin Pickard and bring up Connor Ingram there. I mean, the best case for the Oilers in this scenario, don't really have a lot of cap space to work with there, and, the next best option is that internal competition there with the Oilers. But again, a lot of armchair GMs out there, so I'm very, very curious to see what you all have to say down in the comments there. And if you haven't already, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below there. We are on the road to 5,000, still a ways away, but with you helping out the channel, we can get one step closer. But enjoy the game tonight, folks. Let's go Oilers. Let's get a bit of a winning streak on the go here, shall we? Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Matt.